Okay, we're live.
No pressure. Good morning. Happy Monday. You are here with Terry and Elisabeth Samuels of Salterra and SEO University and SEO Spring Training Digital Marketing Conference. And whatever crazy idea Terry has to throw at us, we will do it because we are all in. So happy Monday. Good morning. Welcome. Tech
Good
Talk with T and
morning.
E. So, um, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. It is Monday, but it's okay. Mondays are not all bad. So it's nice and cool here in Phoenix. We're actually below 100, so that's
Shut up. No way.
always a
Are we
positive
really?
thing. Yeah, we're going to be like 99 today.
I better get out a
So
hoodie or something, right?
I know exactly. Got a cold front moving in.
Oh my
So
gosh, it's 91.
I know. So it's pretty
Wow.
crazy. So but yeah, otherwise everything's good. I've started doing a little mini video thing on social media, so that's been
I
fun.
saw one. I haven't watched them all. I don't know how many you have posted yet. How many do you
I
have out
posted
there?
the second one this morning. So the first
Okay.
one was about the digital conference, and then the second one today's was I'm gonna do probably five or six around internal linking and siloing and stuff like
Well, that's very important.
that. I would tend to agree. So,
Yeah.
anyways, you guys like our YouTube channel, share with us all that good stuff that everybody asked you to do. So
So
we're trying.
what are the four things that you should be asking for? Do you remember?
I don't. Randy's gonna yell at me, but I
I know.
don't.
Like, follow, share, and subscribe.
Okay, perfect.
I will put it on a sticky note in front of your monitor.
Okay, yeah, that's for sure. So, anyway, so we talked about this morning what we wanted to kind of talk about. And we'll talk about a few things, but I think the coolest thing that we kind of talked about was, more on your side of the fence, as far as the web design world and all that kind of jazz. We talk about SEO all the time and marketing. But what do you think what do you tell us a little bit about your side of the world? So
My
what
side of the
that
world.
involves.
So I would honestly say that I am not like normal when it comes to like web design, web development, probably because I've been heavily influenced by you.
Mhm.
And I would say my philosophy and thoughts on web design is yes, I obviously want a really good user experience, user interface. I want people to engage with the website. I want it to solve a problem, but I'm also creating and designing for your side of the fence because I've kind of always said when anyone asks me is like, you can have the most beautiful website, you can be super artistic and have all of the amazing visuals in place. But if the client is not ranking, if the client's business is not scaling and increasing from the website, then it doesn't hold a lot of value.
Yeah.
So I look at, I know this is great. I look at site structure. I look at URLs. I look at a little bit of the linking. Like I don't do a lot of the linking, but I am cognizantly aware of what is going on under the hood, your foundational stuff, because I look at trends. I do. I'm kind of a font junkie. I have a ton of fonts. I love fonts. They're super fun and super cool. Those play more into the graphic side of everything because I do logos and brochures and business cards and stuff like that for a few select clients, and that's my playtime. It's fun, but when it talks about and it's cyclical. If anyone
Mhm.
in design would definitely pop in and give me your feedback, I'd love it. But I do see a lot of cyclical things. Like first it's minimalist, then it's maximalist, and I've seen some people love motion design. Terry does not love movement on a page, so if you're the type of person that puts a lot of animations and movement, that's the first thing that he wants to kill because it irritates him. And tell me, like, what does Google think about like some of the crazy design things, some of the animations and stuff? Does it like it? Does it not like it? What do you see?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think animations provide, well, there's a couple different things. So, and we're talking about sliders, stuff that comes flying in from the side as you scroll down a page. A lot of stuff that open source kind of brought to the table. We weren't doing a lot of that in HTML. Sliders, we were maybe a little bit. But but I don't think it's necessarily a Google thing, except if you start doing tests on crawl, is something inside the animation that you do want Google to read and give you credit for. Can that code be read without the page being live? Just from the back end, the page source, so to speak. So, but I think it's more of a conversion thing. So, when we start doing a lot of the conversion aspects of stuff, when you start figuring out, okay, so, why did this person only stay here 40 seconds? The different heat maps. We know, and through our testing, found out a long time ago, people don't sit there and watch a 6 slide slideshow. It just people, especially, we're a little bit impatient. So, but I think it's more on a personal. Excuse me. I think it's more on a personal conversion aspect of it. So I have seen some cool animations that kind of take you down a path, so to speak. I think those are awesome as far as engagement and stuff like that. But again, I don't know that I would do that on mobile, especially because the screen's so small, anyways. A lot of animations don't take that into consideration. You can't see it. So, but anyways, yeah, I mean, it's just more of, testing it to see if Google can crawl certain aspects of, different kinds of animations and stuff like that. So, but again, it's all about testing, but I
Yeah.
do think it's a little irritating as you scroll down the page, everything's animated. Everything just keeps flying in at you,
Well, I
when,
think that's kind of funny because like your ADD like likes a lot of things going on at once, except for on a website. Like,
yeah, yeah, that's for sure. So,
so, I like a lot of custom illustrations. I know stock images have gotten a lot of heat for being like so basic, so repetitive. Good morning, Panda. Is that Black Panda? Is that our
yeah,
guy?
that's Leo, my buddy Leo, our buddy Leo.
Nice,
So,
nice.
good morning.
Shout
Good
out to
morning.
the pandas. Anyway, like I know like custom illustrations are great. Stock images, yeah, I really try to encourage my clients to have custom images because of the authenticity factor. You really want people when they hit your website and they see pictures that look like an office and then they actually go to your office and they're like, hey, like it clicks. There's a lot of subliminal things that happen with those images. And so I always encourage clients. And I'm going to say, like, yeah, if you have the budget, professional photography, spot on. I love it. Images are something that's super important to me. But I've actually seen, the specs on some of the iPhone cameras. Like, you can totally do some great stuff. Taking the background into consideration, taking, the orientation of your phone. You want to do horizontal so it'll go across the page. Like you can actually do a lot of stuff yourself that still looks good quality. But again, that's going to fall into that user interface, the user experience when they hit your website. Is it authentic? Is it who you really are? So that's always a given. And again, custom illustrations. We have a client that has their own custom cartoon graphics, and it matches the blog. And I think that if a customer or user is actually digging in and looking at the information, there's a lot of subliminal things that resonate. So
Yeah,
I'm always a big fan of that.
sure. Hello, Randy. Good morning.
Good morning, Randy. Best friend Randy.
Best friend Randy. Yeah, no, I agree. I think, and images are becoming, very vital on the SEO side too. So, optimizing images is crucial. I still see the website I did a big audit on over the weekend. They had, 11, 12, 13 megabyte size images, and that's crazy. So you really need to, no website is wider than 1920. That's the standard rule. It's been the standard rule for years. So technically, you don't need your images much wider than that. Maybe for certain hero sizes and stuff like that, but you don't need a 10,000 pixel wide image. You don't need to have a car wrap size image on your hero. It murders your page speed. It does all kinds of real negative things. So optimize your images, title them right, just put a great description in there. The alt tag. One of my favorite things at SEO Spring Training 2 years ago was Honey Witcher taught about taking your alt tag and making it more of a conversion type of description. Put your phone number in there. Put your different types of contact information in there.
Yeah.
And that just means your images can now serve a purpose. So,
Mhm.
take images seriously. Don't just grab an image and throw it up there. Especially these big ones. This website I did an audit on has a real big bad page speed problem, and it's probably 50% plus the images. So,
Yeah.
really take it into consideration. The size of the images that you put up there, and yeah, we all
Yeah.
want fancy, pretty images, but unless you have a 4K or 6K monitor, your eyeballs are not going to be able to tell the difference.
The big
So,
TV in front of
yeah,
you.
big TV. So, but it's something that you really have to be serious about. On press releases, all doesn't matter where you post your images at, just make sure they're optimized. So,
Okay. Yeah. We're really kind of hip deep in AI in the whole world, and I think some people are neck deep. I know that has a huge factor on everything. We utilize AI in our agency as well, not to the capacity that we necessarily want to or that other agencies do. But that's definitely something that has helped with our processes. It has helped with our quality content. And we're absolutely embracing it more going forward. I know there's a little controversy with where AI is going in the future, but I think it can absolutely definitely help. We still try to keep the human element on our side. Because I do want actual people with eyes on page to make sure that this is the correct content. That's a critical thing. We've seen some crazy out there. We've seen some crazy stupid out there. And just for us and our clients, we want to make sure that we are accurately representing our client, who they are and what they do, absolutely for that trust and authority with Google.
100%.
But also, a nice engaging read would be fun. I'm not going to, dump you into a novel or anything like that, but
Mhm.
all of that is valuable. I know with a lot of other things out there with AI, it's dumping hundreds of thousands of pages per day on the internet, which, I mean, you can speak more to what that is going to look like for crawlability. What's that going to look like, on Google side? But for us, for our clients, for the end user, I want to accurately represent our clients. I want their content to be who they are, what they do. I can almost hear Merlino in the background screaming your brand, who you
Mhm.
are, what you do, where you do it, all of that. So,
Yeah, and that's 100% true. I mean, it is and has been for a couple few years that it's all about the brand, the authority, the trust, and all that good stuff that goes with it. But yeah, there's crawl problems, bandwidth problems, indexing problems. All that is very highly relevant. Especially with what especially Google's trying to do as far as getting this content loaded and stored and be able to. I mean, it's crazy the bandwidth that they've got to be going through on a daily basis. We've got out here. I go driving every morning. Excuse me, and I go out to East Mesa, which is pretty much the where everything's being built right now. And there's literally million, 2 million, 3 million square feet data centers out there. That Amazon has, that Google has, that all these places are just building these huge, massive buildings to store all this data. And we're over here trying to get our little med spa or construction site or something crawled and get it ranked so we can do some business. And yeah, it's a problem. It has been a problem for a while, especially on the indexing side. And I don't have a solution for it except for writing good content and interlinking it properly. Backlinks definitely help, but then backlinks take longer now to get noticed. So, where we used to get a backlink and be able to see that movement, good, bad, or indifferent in 30 days, now it's more like 3 to 4 months. And and that gets a little frustrating, when you're trying to do a 6 month or 9 month or 12 month project, and you got to wait all this time to get indexed. You got to wait all this time for just getting sheer credit for stuff, whether it be a backlink or a new content cluster you did or something. So yeah, but it is a real problem. But I think I think for us and people that are on the agency side, yeah, we always want a human to touch it. We always want to make sure the interlinking is all manual. We don't do any automated interlinking, because I want to make sure that it's as best it can be, so to speak, to provide the most value. But yeah,
So my
AI on the content side is just going crazy right now. So
So my question is if you're seeing like a delay in indexing in backlinks, what about just regular pages? I mean, with all of the amount of content and everything that's being put out on the internet, is that slowing everything down? And
well, I think it is, and I think obviously bigger sites get crawled more often. That's for sure, compared to your little plumber site in Dallas. That's been the case forever. I don't think it's more of a crawl thing than it is an indexing thing. So, I mean, if you keep an eye on Search Console, our famous area, pages crawled, not indexed. That's an important thing to pay attention to. Number one, which pages are they that they crawled and didn't index, and then number two, why didn't they get indexed? Where and the biggest thing that we're seeing lately is that there was really nothing wrong with the page itself. It was just a sheer bandwidth problem that Google just didn't index it. So when we go back and we do the validate fix, and then we see which ones they approved and got indexed, and we have a new batch of ones that didn't get indexed. So yeah, it's a constant problem, and I think it's good content, content that answers queries and questions. If you're not writing for people also ask and queries that Google's giving you credit for, you're not writing good content. So
okay,
you or your client or anybody else says, "Oh, I know what keywords I want to rank for. I know what content I need to write." Without checking what actually humans are doing to find that content. I think and we're still seeing it today. We're still seeing people writing 1, 2, 3, 4 blogs a month, just for the sheer fact of, hey, client, I did the 4 blogs that I promised you every month, without any real intent or real strategy behind those blogs. So I think it's one of the things I keep going with our clients and our company is that when we do finally get the crawl, we want Google to crawl the stuff that we want. So we want our sitemap to be set at last modified. We want to make sure that the content that Google's getting ready to crawl is interlinked properly. So the crawl can keep happening. Because if it hits a 404 or if it hits a broken link, I don't think that it skips that and continues on. I just think it leaves. So, especially nowadays. But I think that if you just be smart about content, make sure that you're writing content that people are actually want to see and want to read and want to interact with is huge. And then video I think is probably where we're going to be heading very heavily very soon. So we've always been big on doing personal videos, and we have the videos from all of our conferences and everything. But the biggest thing is that videos on pages now, to keep people on the page longer. We're a video country. We would rather watch a 2 or 3 minute video than read a 2 or 3 minute article. So, so let's do both. Let's put a video up there and the transcription, so we can get credit for both. So, I think video is where we're headed next. As far as I don't know how much on the AI side, which is kind of one of the things I'm excited about the digital conference, because there's a couple people there that are going to show us how to automate videos. But I just think introductory videos, you know, review videos, referral videos, all these different videos that we can do, we can monetize even. I think is a next play. So.
Well, I would say for my side of it, I want videos because of the connection. I want, like, say you have a business and you do like an introduction video. This is who we are, this is what we do, that kind of thing. That's going to resonate with people. Like, and I know AI is hot and popping and everywhere, but I'm still thinking about the end user. I'm still thinking about the client and the customer that hits that website, sees the business. They kind of get that connection. Like, you
Yeah.
know, it's a real person, the authenticity factor. And I think that's one of the reasons, like, I know you and I are different on social media and where we go and what we do. And I think the authenticity with social media, I'm more on the TikTok side, and more as a consumer, not a producer. I'll be honest, but the videos that I resonate with are the authentic people, And yes, life is messy. I don't always want to see all of that on the internet or all of that online, but I want relatable. I want real, and I also want to be able to portray that for my clients.
Yeah, I agree. I think and and we're still new to the video game. So as far as producing videos, we've been ranking videos forever, obviously, but I think when you start about producing content, and that's what it's all about nowadays. And social media is, at least from what we've been researching the past few months, is it's becoming the catalyst for almost every business. That sure, search is great and it's important. Organic keywords, organic traffic, all that stuff's worth dollars when you go to get your company evaluated or whatever. But the social media side nowadays is awesome. To get your brand out there, to get your products, your service. Social media is the platform to where people don't realize they need your services. When they sit down to a keyboard on Google, they have an idea of what they're looking for. They're typing something in. To where Facebook, especially retargeting in social media, but Facebook will be the ones that you're scrolling around, and because you searched on Google for Las Vegas, now all of a sudden you have all these Las Vegas hotels showing up with all these specials in front of you. That's powerful. I can't tell you how many times Elizabeth and I have done stuff because we were remarketed to, or we were talking about something, and all of a sudden these things are showing up in our feed. Crazy ass spies out there. But but the whole idea is that that's where people are at. That's where customers are at. We belong to a Facebook group here for Gilbert. When we moved to Gilbert, we didn't know much about where we moved to. It's a new town for us. We knew a little bit about it, but not living there, and so we joined a Gilbert group. This Gilbert group is where we go to get find a landscaper, or find a pest control guy, or all this stuff. Is in this group, and that to me is interesting and kind of scary, just because of you have a lot of marketers in there that as soon as they say something, hey, where can I find a carpet cleaner, and all of a sudden they're out there pushing
Boom. Everybody in the in that whole group. And
crazy.
you know,
So now you got these 100 replies about things, and you're like, okay, where do I go? And I just saw one yesterday. They're asking health things in there. Hey, has anybody ever had this health? And I'm like, so now you got a bunch of strangers being doctors and giving medical advice, and I'm like, okay, a
well,
little
that's
weird for me.
scary. That
So,
I mean, that right there. Like, yes, I get that we are an instant gratification society. We
mm,
want answers now. Like the
yeah,
idea of scheduling an appointment for 2 or 3 days in the future, if you can get in that soon, and going and sitting and talking to a doctor and having faith and trust that the doctor's not bought out by the pharmaceutical company and is just going to treat the symptoms and not actually get to the root cause. That's like a whole other rabbit hole we can jump into. But yeah, people want answers quickly, and a lot of people are looking to AI. I mean, that right there, talking about like medical and combining it with AI, we know people in real life that are utilizing AI for medical diagnosis, that are really digging deep. And I think that that's just a reflection of our society. We don't want to
mm,
wait for answers. those Gen Xers of us have trust issues. Like, okay, how do I know that that's the right answer? How do I know that you know what you're talking about? So
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
a whole other 5 rabbit holes.
Yeah, and it is it is something, but we kind of like, keep our hand on the pulse. We're all about getting our clients to up there in the AI summaries and the AI results and all the different things that we're doing. And I get people that'll ask me all the time about stuff like that. And excuse me, I won't go into too much of it today, but just do really good SEO, or really good marketing. Marketing nowadays or SEO nowadays is more about everything. It's more about social media and those connections and sharing the content and having the interlinks back and the traffic and referral traffic that Mernino talks about. Referral traffic is something that you have to pay attention to. If you're not building your referral traffic, which means traffic from other places, then you're running down the wrong rabbit hole. So Google doesn't want to see Google all the time. Google wants to see Facebook and Twitter and all these different links coming from email campaigns and all these different traffic sources coming in is what you've got to pay attention to. So when I get people coming to me and tell me they're SEO specialists, and I ask them a few questions about outside of SEO that's important for SEO, they don't have a clue. So, and use AI to learn this stuff. Have a conversation with ChatGPT. Hey, what else can I be doing for my client? My client specializes in this. Here's my client's information. Here's who my client is, where they do it, how they do it, and start having conversations. If you're just the keyword guy or the ranking guy, then you're probably going to get your butt kicked. So you need to be
Yeah.
doing more. You need to be out there serving your client with different ideas, different strategies. They're looking at you for advice. And so if your advice is, hey, we can take this keyword from here to here and get 10 extra hits a month, well, is that really good advice? Or, hey, we can do this, this, and this and generate X number of leads for you. So, that's always a big thing to make sure that you're considering when you're looking at the full package of what you're doing for your clients. So,
Well, and there's more to it also. Like, you have always been really strong in looking at the foundation. Like, what are we doing all of the foundational things to lay the groundwork, and then through time, energy, and effort building upon that. Whereas, like you said, the ranking person, okay, let's think outside the box. What do those rankings do? So I get 10 more hits. Like, does that mean they convert? Not necessarily. That just means I get 10 more hits, So taking it the extra step and always looking to build and be better, yes, okay, we're looking at, 10 extra hits this month, maybe 8 more hits the next month. Like, let's build on that. But what does that look like? How can we convert? What else are we doing, to send signals and all of that? And again, now the conversation is all turned back to SEO when we started talking web design, because I still think that is the main important key. Yes, a beautiful website. Yes, I want it to be physically and visually appealing. I want it to give the end user the content that it's looking for, to give them the answers they're looking for. All the, authority and trust that we talk about. It all circles back to SEO. I can't just be a web designer.
mm-hmm.
Yes, it's fun and I like pretty things. I like pretty websites. But if my client's not getting more business, they don't want to keep me in my pretty website. They need more business.
Yeah. Listen, I think it's all part of the package, so,
Yeah.
um, we've turned away clients because the website itself is just terrible. I mean, and we're not talking, meta and all that stuff. We're talking about the technical issues of the website itself. So we've done conversions from one theme to another theme, and a lot of people realize, or a lot of people know, that we're an Aveda house. Everything we do is in the Aveda theme, and we've been using that theme for 10 years. So,
Longer.
is it longer? Yeah, it's probably longer. But But we know that Google likes it as far as a crawl. We know that there's certain things we can do with that theme that you can't with other themes. And we also have done tests. When our first, all of our affiliate sites were built on the Thrive theme. And slowly over time, just because of sheer SOPs and working in the website itself, we started converting them to Aveda, and I couldn't believe the hockey sticks of total number of keywords now we were seeing just because we changed the theme. And it wasn't that we were using that as a test. We were just using it more of so our staff can work on one specific theme and not have to realize and work on 10 different themes, 10 different. So it became very important to us to say, wow, that's pretty cool. So, and we've even turned around this year, our new clients get a website. There's not even a choice in the matter. So, we'll make it look exactly the same. That's not a problem. But technically wise and functioning wise, the back end is going to be the Aveda theme. And we're pretty adamant about that. So, but you also have to think about that's what happens when you look at things hand in hand. When I get a project and I'm looking at the basic audits that we do to see if I even want to take it on, and there's 17 H1s, and you can tell a web designer didn't have any clue of the world of search, and so those are struggling things to run into, especially if the website's older, if it's been that way for a couple of years. So it's always something to keep in mind, and realize that your website's your hub of your entire online digital business. So it's got to work for all the different variables and platforms. So, anyways, yeah, no, I agree. I think that you build very well. You build very good websites for search. So even if they don't come on board with us on the search side, we know that the websites that you build will eventually rank. They won't. It'll take longer because there's nothing being done proactive. But they're there. All the pieces are in place. So, and that's super important.
Well, that I would be doing my clients a disservice if I didn't take the foundational things into consideration.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I look at URLs. Like if I'm ever going to do a conversion, I mean that's death. We've seen it 100 million times where a web designer will convert a site. They'll totally change the URL structure. Their rankings are abysmal, and they can't understand why they're not getting any business. Oh, I built this nice new pretty website. Well,
You
web
just
dev
shocked the, yeah, you just shocked the gorilla is what you've done. So
right? And, I look at, do we have our on page set up? Do we have some kind of siloing page structure?
yep.
Um, I
Exactly.
see it every single day. And like, I can't preach hard enough that yes, you're a web designer, but what is the ultimate goal? Like, are you just there to pad your portfolio and show people how you can make pretty stuff? Well,
Mhm.
start painting, be a painter, do something, that is not going to affect people's livelihood, their business, their families. So
Yeah, for sure.
all the
Well, on
things.
that note, let's talk a little bit about talk a little bit about our digital event. So, talk a little bit about that.
Talk a little bit about that. Okay, well, now that we're in a cold front here in Arizona, maybe it's not so bad. Just kidding. We talked about like doing something kind of mid-year to kind of keep people engaged, to see what else is going on, because obviously as fast as everything's popping with AI, we're still trying to stay relevant. We're still trying to stay what is happening, and we want to make sure that we're conveying all of that information to you guys. And we've always wanted to give and have something that you can walk away with. It's not just, a PowerPoint presentation. We're not here to just, oh, well, let me talk about, what I did previously or how great I am or anything like that. It's like, no, here's something you can do. Here's something you can create, or here's something that will help your business or your clients. And so doing the virtual just made so much sense because we don't have travel time, we don't have the hotel costs. I can keep it dialed in, and that everybody, even people who couldn't come and attend, can still attend the virtual. And we reference back to 2020 so many times. Like, I know everything was kind of a shit show, the world was crazy, but man, that week that we did the digital conference, we had so much fun. We enjoyed it so much, and I just want to share that with everybody. I want everybody to come hang and have fun and learn stuff and do stuff. So our
Yeah, I mean, it's
virtual
just
hours, it's
yeah,
good stuff.
virtual happy hours are a blast. The one we did in 2020, that was a lot of fun. But doing the live events, as great as they are, and we're 100% supportive of live events. We think you should do all live events for sure. But I think the difference of this one is that this one we've actually asked people to come and teach. So I don't want anybody to come up there with a PowerPoint presentation and just do a PowerPoint and all that stuff. So we're giving each teacher enough time to, do what they're going to teach, open it up for questions, get really down to the nuts and bolts of how stuff is built and works. And depending on the teacher, you're going to walk away with, how to do automated videos at scale, how to do, AI chatbots, and all the different AI tools that your agency is going to be needing to be using, and how to use those. So, we've got, Aaron Grinke is going to come in and talk about, e-com SEO, and so what he's doing on the automation side for the e-com SEO, which is awesome. Andrew Ansley is going to come in and talk about with the best AI tools every business should use. So that's stuff you can even take to your clients and now become a resource for them getting involved with more AI and automations and upsells, of course. Simon Cornelius is going to come in and talk about how do LLMs, large language models, figure out the best. So like Plumber in Gotham, what signals do you need to show up in the AIOs? So, this is powerful stuff. Corey Quinn, we love Corey. Corey's going to give his 6-slide trust multiplier presentation that we actually got to see in San Diego. I think the big difference here is, though, is that Corey's going to have more time to dive deeper into this. It literally blew our minds when we saw this, on the sales side. Corey Quinn's going to come and share that with us.
And I think
Jason,
he's just doing that for the VIP. Is that correct?
I'm not sure yet. We're going to figure all that out in the next couple of days. So there's 3 things. There's the tech day, the VIP day, and then the on stage day. Right now, the on stage days are 2 days. But Elizabeth and I are kind of kicking around a 3rd day, which would be that Saturday. So, but either way, it's going to be pretty incredible. But we're going to get the schedule together and finalize. I'm waiting for a few more teachers to give me their topics. And topics like this change all the time. I mean, it's crazy. We're still about 5 weeks out, and the topics are probably going to change because AI is changing that fast. Automations are changing that fast. So it's pretty crazy to watch. So yeah, Jason Guy is going to talk about how he does audits for Google Ads. I think Google Ads is one of those things that'll probably never go away because it's Google's main income source. So let's look and see how can we audit them? How can we make them better? How can we get a lower cost per click and get more functioning leads that way? Daryl Osborne, one of my schema buddies, he's going to talk about the brand beacon method, how to signal trust with maps, sheets, and schema. So pretty friggin' cool. So again, these teachers are bringing stuff that you normally probably wouldn't get on stage at a live event just because of sheer time. It's tough, being on stage for 45 minutes and then giving, an actual product that somebody can leave and either go make money with or help them become more efficient or whatever. So super cool that, that this is falling into place this way. And I mentioned when we first announced this that we get asked all the time, can you do something online? Can you do something virtual? And this is the first year we decided to do it just because, we do know that there's a lot of people around the world that follow us. There's a lot of people around the world that would love to come to our live event, and we do encourage you to come to the live event. It's a blast. But we also understand, so this way we scheduled it from Tuesday through Friday right now. And again, we might add the Saturday, but it is going to be recorded. The big difference between the recordings in this way is the recordings are virtually ready that night. So, everybody will get an email, and, you'll be able to go to the recording. So if it's, late at night, or you have another meeting or whatever, you're not going to have to miss anything. So, but yeah, so it's like I said, the topics are still coming in. I've got a few more out there I'm waiting for, but we'll get the schedule up on the web page, and then we'll get everything announced. The tickets are for sale now. There's a link down there below us. It's the seospringtraining.com/digital. And that's going to give you all the different packages, so to speak. So we have a general one, which is just the 2 days main stage, so to speak. And then we have the tech day and the VIP day. We really encourage you to get into the tech and the VIP, because that's where you're going to get to actually build products that you're going to be able to use. You're still going to get some great things on stage, stuff that you're going to be able to use and learn and utilize. But I think the difference is in the tech day and the VIP day is, Cato brings in something that's pretty off the wall and crazy. Dan Kurtz, same way. There's just so many different things that are going to happen on those 2 days. But anyways, reach out to Elizabeth and I if you have any questions, if you want to see something, if there's something that you've always wanted to learn, I can reach out to the group and say, hey, is anybody doing this? Because this is in my mind the best AI automation crowd out there. I follow a lot of them, and there's a lot of great people out there that are doing some really cool things. But they also have to be willing to teach it, and teach it and make sure that you're not holding back, so to speak. Give it all the nuts and bolts. Help us
Well,
build it.
like one of the really big hot things from the live event was Hurt coming out with his Zagio and
Mhm.
building live in the breakout room. And he did that on Thursday, and by Monday, that site he built was ranking.
Yeah,
I mean, that's some crazy stuff. If you want to do some automated AI websites instantly, those are the kind of things that you can do, and that we're so excited about our network and our team and our group of people that do amazing, brilliant things.
yeah, for sure. So yes, definitely reach out. Get your tickets, because we are going to limit this, even though it's virtual. We also got to remember that if we have 500 people trying to learn from one teacher, that might be a little bit overwhelming for the teacher itself. So, we are going to limit these things to make sure that people that are in the groups and in the event can actually be able to get their questions answered, get their concerns. The what if scenarios. This is the event to do that. So, plus with
Well,
the after hours stuff, the after hours happy hour, we're going to do an actual virtual VIP dinner, which should be pretty cool.
yeah.
Pretty neat.
I'm still working on the logistics for that.
Yeah,
But with the tech part, with some of the actual builds, there's going to be prerequisites. You're going to have certain softwares and stuff. We'll have all that information available ahead of time as we get that from the teachers. And so it's actual shit. It's not just a theory or, oh, maybe try this and stuff like that. It's let's dig in and let's do this. So
yep, 100%. And that's what that's why we're so excited to bring this. And this is one of the things that we enjoy doing. We like introducing our network to other people and the new people that we have in our network now. It's a fun thing to do, to be able to share the stuff that we want to learn also. Some of this is kind of greedy. I want to be able to do a couple things for me and my agency and my clients, and so I'm looking forward to seeing what the teachers are going to teach, and we get to actually be involved in these things compared to the live event. Elizabeth and I are running around like chickens with our heads cut off. So we're very excited about the virtual one, because we can can sit there and watch the same thing that you guys are watching. So, but reach out to us, get your tickets, reach out to us if you got any questions. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. What do you got, Elizabeth? Anything else on that?
Did you actually catch any of the stuff from the live event? Did you get an opportunity to really kind of listen in, or were you running around like I know I did not?
I did not either. I got bits and pieces from a lot of things, but it was especially with the breakout rooms, making sure they're all running and functioning, and starting on time and all that stuff. So next year when we do it at the end of April, it's going to be a little bit different. I think next year you and I might have a little bit more time to actually watch some things. So it's weird too because the year before I was able to watch a few. So I was able to see honeys and so there's some things that I have, but this last year I didn't get to watch hardly anything. So, but the videos, here's our announcement. The videos from the live event should be start going up this week, and that's also my homework too. There's some people that talked at the live event that I really want to dig into and see what they were talking about and how they're doing it.
Yep, definitely. So I don't know. Do you have any questions for me? What else do you want to chit chat about? We still have 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I think the biggest thing is that we're all about trying to help people. So these little videos I'm doing in the morning is just always to be able to take what we see, whether it be through audits or whether it be through client relationships or whatever, and just try to make sure that we can provide the value and the answers and everything that we can to you guys. So.
Yeah.
Oh, Aaron asked a question here. In the digital event, will there be breakout rooms or will it all be one stream? Right now, it's going to be one stream. We are looking at software that might let us do breakouts, but as it's all a software-based thing. So as of right now, it's going to be one main stage for all 4 days. And then there's little breakout areas that you can go and visit and hang out and chat and stuff like that.
Like networking, yeah, on a personal level. But as far as presenting, I think logistically, I think that might be more than what we are ready to deal with because we still have to manage it in the back end,
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think again, that nobody wants to miss out. Like, I don't want to have to choose. Do I do this speaker or this speaker? Like, I don't want that. I want everybody collectively to be able to, get the most out of it.
I agree, and that's the whole thing. But yeah, I mean, and again, like I said, it's a software thing. If we could find software, and actually that would be pretty interesting. If we could find some software that actually did that, that might be something to look at. But yeah, for this event, the main stage for the actual teaching, and then there's little breakout lounge areas that you can go and hang out in between time and stuff like that. So the main happy hour, after the after events will be in the main room, and everybody will open it up wide open so everybody can just talk and chat and do that type of stuff. So it's pretty cool. The software that when we did this in 2020, it's different software than we had in 2020, but it was really I don't know, it was entertaining. It was fun. I'd wake up in the morning and somebody would tell me they had 3 or 4 people that can do all that. 3 or 4 people that stayed up till like 2 or 3 in the morning. So that's pretty crazy. So.
Well, I mean, we get that at the live event too. I mean, some of y'all were closing down the bar, and but that's fun. Like, obviously in session, we're here to learn. It's great. It's wonderful. But everyone loves the networking because that's when you can really dig in and be like, hey, what about this and what about that? So,
yeah. We're looking at Zoom. One of the things about Zoom is more on the security side. But yeah, we're looking at a software that actually Zoom would plug into. So yes, we're definitely looking at that. Good questions. So anyways, but let us know, like I said, if there's anything that you want to know, anything that you're interested in learning. The biggest things that we want to look forward to is just, the whole idea of, getting people together that really want to. This isn't going to be basic SEO. So, I mean, if you're brand new to this business, it's probably not going to be a great event for you to go into. But if you want to see how AI and automations are working in different scenarios and different aspects, and that's what you should be kind of looking at nowadays. I and Elizabeth and a bunch of people have talked about that you'll get left behind pretty freaking quick if you're not starting to go down this path. And so, this is a great event to do that with, because you can kind of just see what's happening and get an idea. Wow, I never knew I could do that with video. That's something I can do on a Saturday. I can knock out, so you get these kind of information, these kind of learnings through these type of digital events to where you can, dig in right there while they're talking. You're at your desk, you're not in a laptop situation in the middle of a conference room, to where you got internet issues and all the different things that hotels always have. But
Yeah.
you're at your desk. You can have dual monitors. You can watch them talk on one monitor and build on the other monitor. I mean, so I'm excited about the scenario because that's the way I like to learn. I don't like to learn and then go back, so to speak, and then watch a video and try to catch up. I like to and learn and do as I'm learning, so to speak.
Yeah,
So
because your ADD is in overdrive.
100%.
I
Yep.
know how you work. I know, and I valid. There's probably a lot of people in our industry and in our space that also have the entrepreneurial spirit. We're not little robots or sheep. Let me go try this, break this, do this, and
Yep.
you
Exactly.
know
Yep.
definitely. And yeah, Aaron, I definitely agree. Collaboration is fantastic. And, we're never going to, I'm never going to come to some of these conclusions just in my own environment. Like, I need to talk to people. I need to ask questions. Well, what do you think about this? And how do you think about that? Because I think so many of us have these like amazing brains
Yep.
and, really sharing and digging in.
I
I am
agree.
not you. So, but awesome. Well, any last little tips or tricks? Since we started on web design, we can circle back. Anything you recommend?
I think the biggest thing is that, pick a theme and master it. I think that's the biggest thing. I do audit for one or two agencies, and they send me all these sites that they want me to audit and everything, and they're all built differently. They're all on different platforms. They're all, different themes, and they built them this way. So they had one that was built with Elementor, one that was built with Oxygen. And I'm telling you, if far as you providing a good service that you can be counting on, you need to kind of niche down to your theme, niche down to your plugins. All of our websites are built with the exact same technology. Now, some of them might be a membership site, so they've got some membership stuff, or an ecom site, they got the ecom site. But the basics, the theme, and the basic plugins are there, and it's consistent. So our SOPs are very easy to understand. I don't have to have my content person trying to learn a new theme, how to change the H1, and so, and when you're talking about scaling on the operations side, the better that you can put things into one bucket, the better. And I
Yeah,
learned this from studying like Southwest Airlines. Southwest Airlines is the most well-run airlines because all their planes are the same. They don't have half Airbus, half Boeing. They have the same planes, same SOPs, same parts, same everything. And so they're able to be more efficient. So when it comes to web design and agencies, pick one theme, learn it, master it, make sure that you get all the crawls and everything, the rankings out of it that you want, and then just multiply that. Again, we love the Aveda theme because there's some real things. And if you want to know more about this theme, reach out to Elizabeth. She loves talking about it. But we can do things with the Veda that other themes just can't do. There's, and these are important, especially if you're running pay per click and you're running, different types of tests. We can have a different header and footer on every single page if we want to. So it's got that much flexibility. But I think
Well,
that's my biggest advice is on the web design side is build for SEO, build for search, and then find a theme that you like and master it in your organization. And don't flip flop. Don't go from one theme to another theme to another theme because then by the time you send it to me for the audit, and you're saying, I have 3 clients in the same space and this one's the only one that's not doing well. Well, let's look at the technical side of it. Maybe it's a theme, maybe it's a plugin, maybe the crawl is just junk. So
and I would say one of the reasons why I love this theme so much, I am like the biggest cheerleader when it comes to Avada, is because in the beginning, when we first started our business, I thought, well, as a designer developer, like I should be a little more well rounded. I should know more of the things. And I would get in and I would try to use a different theme and I would get so super frustrated. Yes, I completely understand the concept of open source. Anybody and their brother can be a developer, and there is no consistency in the development as far as like, the back end and everything. So I get it and I understand it, but I could literally build in a weekend on Avada what it would take me weeks to build on another theme because I didn't know all of the intricacies and all of the in and outs. I also look at it from a standpoint for my customers. I had a client come to me that it had one theme and it had a builder and it had this and it had that and it had all of these extra software and it ended up into $500 a year in recurring costs for that client that they had no idea.
yeah,
And for me, I look at like if I have a small business, especially a small, like I have nonprofits, I have, mom and pops, and they don't necessarily can absorb those software costs every year. So for me, Avada is a one time with lifetime updates. Yes, you may have some added expense with some of the plugins, and I do not I don't begrudge any SaaS for making money. Like, I legitimately, it's valid. I get it. But if I've got a client that's on a lean budget and I need to keep it lean for them, that's what I look for. And, I've had sites where, and I do not recommend this in any way, shape, or form. I'm really going to harp on keeping things updated. But I've had clients come to me that haven't touched their website in 5 or 6 years. And yeah, you got to do updates on a regular basis. But things happen and you run across stuff like that. And granted, for me, it was a process to update for all of you can't just like jump from 5 years ago to today's software, but I could essentially keep the same site, the same look, it grows well with you. So you don't necessarily have to do major overhauls every 3 or 4 years. You can keep that same theme, basic look and layout for years to come. So anyway, that's enough of me fangirling on Avada. I'm always gonna love Avada. You're not gonna convert me. And I've tried others. I've tried Oxygen. I've tried Elementor. I
well,
tried
and
different
I think at least from an audit side, Elementor is the one I see the most.
heck
And I
yeah.
get that. I understand that. But it's give you an example. It's a 2-step process. So every page you do the SEO, whatever plugin you have for the SEO, the titles and description. Then you have to save that because you can't just go right into the Elementor builder because you'll lose that change. So there's little things like that when you're looking at scale and you're looking at ease of use to work in. Are just detrimental to at least what we do on our operations side.
And we're not right.
But
It's just how we do it.
yeah, for sure. And that's the whole thing. We want people to realize that there's ways to do things and there's other ways, we don't have to run down the same path to reach the finish line. But as far as ease to work, ease to flexibility, like I've got an Elementor person that's coming to us, we're going to flip their website to Aveda. And one of the reasons I told her we're going to flip it is because I want their pay-per-click traffic to go to their website. Their pay-per-click traffic currently right now is going to a third-party site. I want that traffic. And through Aveda, we can build those landing pages, and they'll be true landing pages. They won't be, a page that you just make and there's a menu and they can click all over the website and go to the contact page. No, they're true landing pages. So there's some real good benefits about finding a theme like that and learning what you can do with it. So, but yeah, we're both fanboys, fangirls, fan couple on the Avada theme. I think at one time it was the most popular WordPress theme. I'm not sure that's still the case, but
I think it pops up and down every couple of years or whatever, but it's been pretty consistent. I mean, it's usually within the top 2 or 3, I think, year over year.
Exactly.
So, but I mean, there's so much you can do with it. There's so much I can do with it. Like, I've had some crazy projects, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty awesome that I did that with that theme. So,
yeah, 100%. So, okay, cool. But anyways, it looks like we're out of time. So we're at our hour. So thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We are going to, every Monday, 10 o'clock in the morning. Why we picked Monday, I have no idea. But it is a nice break from us because we have our staff meeting before and then we get into our podcast. So, but reach out to us, especially about the digital conference. If you have questions, reach out to us if you have other questions about Aveda, websites, stuff like that. We want to be a resource for you guys. So again, have an awesome week and let us know.
What are the 4?
Huh?
What are the 4? Do you remember them?
Like, share, no.
Follow and subscribe.
Follow and subscribe. Like, share, follow, and subscribe. All right. Yeah, I definitely need to put that on my whiteboard in front of me. So,
yes.
Anyways, thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. And then just have a wonderful week. Yep. Stay cool out there if you're in the heat.